So this is actually like live Charleston right now. If you guys haven't figured that out, it's really hot right now. 5 o'clock, that's traffic time. I normally wouldn't even be driving. But there might not be as much traffic because the kids are not back in school yet. The college students aren't here. So it might be worth driving. I don't know. I'm here with you guys. So we're going to check out how much I made. So I did drive a little into today, this morning. For me, the new Lyft day starts at 5 a.m. So I did like an hour, 16 minutes. Then my check engine light came on. I do think it's just my gas cap because I picked up a passenger, forgot to put my gas cap on. She put it on. I don't think she put it on correctly. I cleared the code and we'll see if it comes back up or not. But I hope it's just the gas cap. So we're going to go to see all activity. Also, this is like an app on Windows that connects to my phone that lets me pull up the apps on my phone on Windows. We'll go to last week. I only drove one day last week, which was New Year's Eve. So you can see 25th of December to December 31st, Sundays, where I did all of my rides. You can see that it says I made $1,248.91, but that's misleading. It's misleading because down here, I have a driver referral that came in at $920. It was a good referral. Let's pull the calculator up so that we can separate that from what I actually made. So we got the calculator. $1,248.91 minus the $920. So I actually made $328 with Lyft just last night over the course of 6 hours and 30 minutes. So we'll divide that by 6.5 hours. That's the hourly rate. So not including the driver referral, I made $50 an hour driving with Lyft last night. That's pretty good. Pretty good, even with the glitch. So I did notice the glitch was happening, and I recorded my whole screen like for the duration of my entire shift, and I'll make a video out of it later. But there is one point in the video where I'm literally like kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, it says I took 6 rides and I wasn't tracking it in my head. And I just felt like I've been out here for 3 hours, 6 rides in 3 hours. Feels a little low, but whatever. Even the amount was like lower than I expected it to be. Still better than average. I was like, okay, whatever. I wasn't really paying attention. And that's when I started realizing that there was a glitch. Like shortly after that, I realized, okay, the information isn't being updated as quickly as possible. There's a difference between, like, usually when I drive, I make money, I can cash out that money immediately. I was noticing that I can only cash out a small percentage of the money it was saying that I was making. So I realized that there was an issue, but I decided that I would still push forward. I knew I've had similar issues, nothing to this magnitude. So I still push forward, and here's the results of not quitting, right? During the time, a lot of drivers really worried. Some people really overreact, and I'm going to show you the overreactions on Reddit. Let's go through my earnings first. I'm getting a little distracted. The tips were a little low. Drunk people don't tip as well because drunk people forget to go back in the app. So nothing like usually if you work at a bar, if you've ever worked at a bar or restaurant, drunk people tip very well in the moment. But when it comes to like remembering to do something when you get out the car, it's very low on their to-do list. So tips were just not there. But I did do Uber and Lyft. So it was $50.60 with Lyft. Let's look at Uber. So, and in the video I'm gonna produce in the future, I have a folding phone, right? I could put like Uber on one side of the screen and then Lyft on the other side of the screen, and that allows me to be able to see bonuses on Lyft and bonuses on Uber. I could be taking a passenger on Lyft, right? And while I'm driving, I might drive over a really high bonus on Uber that I don't want to miss. And the Lyft ride is coming to an end in a couple of minutes. I'll go online on Uber to make sure I don't miss it out. So it helps me it actually increases my income. I would say by about 25%. And here's why I say this. I probably would have made no money on Uber last night. Uber was not consistent when it comes to income as Lyft was in my city. Every city is going to be different. That's why I'm not a huge fan of when drivers are like, oh, Uber is better than Lyft, or like, oh, I only drive Lyft because Uber is bad. You need to be driving both. There are some scenarios where Lyft is better, and for most of the night, Lyft was better. But check out this scenario in which Uber was better. So I only drove an hour and 19 minutes with Uber, right? So we'll clear this, bring my calculator over. I made $999.91. Then we're gonna divide that by, what is that, 1.25? We'll call it 1.25. 1.25 hours. So that's $79.92 per hour with Uber, right? I made more money overall with Lyft because they were more consistent with their bonus zones. But when Uber gets really busy, for example, in my city, Lyft caps their bonuses at $15. That's as high as it will go. It used to be $50, but in Charleston, and I've seen 50, not 50, but I've seen higher than 15 in like California within the last couple months. But in Charleston, it does not go over $15 for me. With Uber, the highest like bonus I got last night was like $30. Problem with using Uber is that they don't have an area filter that keeps you in a radius, only in like sections, which is not as good. Lyft has a filter which keeps you in a 5-mile radius, so I can pick up a lot of rides in busy areas without leaving the busy areas. Uber, sometimes like if you want to turn it on, it's gonna give you like crazy rides, like long rides, short rides, and it's gonna throw a bunch of rides at you. And sometimes you can get a little flustered and you're trying to pick out the best ride, and you're gonna have to like be willing to drive a little further than you would with Lyft. So it's scenario based, but there were scenarios in which there were just irresistible rides that I just could not decline. I only took 4 trips. I made on average like what, $25 per trip, and I did 4 trips in about an hour and 20 minutes. It increased how much I made per hour. And it was really good. And if I didn't have this phone, I probably would have just focused on Lyft. I would have never seen the best times to go online on Uber, because for most of the night, Uber was not great. I'm assuming that because Lyft was having their glitch and Uber wasn't, a lot of the people who tend to do both probably was like, you know what, let me not mess around with this. I don't want to get shortchanged. Let me just go drive with Uber, which caused there to be a lot less in bonuses. On top of that, Uber did have some like very weak bonuses. I don't think I could pull them up here. I have screenshots of them, so I'll put them in a future video. But they have bonuses that were just for like from 7 to 11. You'll get an extra $15, $30 if you do like 10 trips with Uber. And then they had another set from like midnight to like 3, 4 a.m. if for like another $30. I don't think that was meant to really like incentivize drivers to go out there. I think that was meant to incentivize Uber drivers who potentially would drive for Lyft to just drive on Uber, which is why I also think the bonuses were down. In my city, for me, some drivers got some bonuses with Lyft. I didn't. And that's normal. Like for the last couple of years, Lyft doesn't really give like pre-planned bonuses. There'll be very strong like area bonuses, like bonuses that just pop up on the map, but they don't really give out streak bonuses. They had a couple of like hour bonuses, which are not great. I'm going to make a video on them. I finally like dug my teeth into like if the hourly bonus zones are like worth it, and they're better than not doing them, but they're not better than streak bonuses. And I'm going to make a video breaking down why. But I think a lot of that contributed to why Lyft was a little more consistent with the bonuses that were popping up, while with Uber, it just wasn't that great until it became great. So I really think you should be using both apps. If you're not using both apps, I do have referral links in the description that you should definitely check out. Don't become too biased for one app. We are here to make money. We're not here to play favoritism, right? We'll keep it at that. All right. So I like to show the proof, right? That's why I pull up the Uber app, the Lyft app. And now I'm going to show you my like the breakdown, like how much I made per hour and like per mile and all of that good stuff. Hold on, I got to find it. Here it is. All right. So with the spreadsheet I made, you pick your date, you pick your starting mileage, you put your ending mileage, and then you classify it as personal or business, right? The IRS says that you cannot start business trips from your home unless your home is considered a home office, which I don't even like messing around with that. I actually have a studio in my home, which I do for YouTube, but I don't know if that'll count for rideshare. So I still will get in my car, put in my starting mileage, drive to where I plan on starting. This time I used my head to a destination filter, which I picked to get me downtown. I live about 20 minutes from downtown, so I turn that filter on, and then I pick up a passenger. When I get to the passenger I was picking up, I recorded my mileage, recorded that as personal, so that can transition into now being business, right? And then I drove until 5 a.m. and then I logged that mile. So the the 229 miles that I drove, this was just for like New Year's Eve up until 5 a.m. So when I started until 5 a.m. and then at 5 a.m. in my city, in my time zone, that's when the business day becomes a new business day for Lyft drivers. For Uber, it's at 4 a.m. Uber's an hour earlier. So then I have my business, and then I do my business again, because this is how many miles I drove like this morning, Monday morning, 5 a.m. until whenever I decided to stop. And then this is the amount of miles I drove home after dropping off my last passenger. And then whenever you put in your ending mileage, my spreadsheet tracker that I made, it automatically knows that if this is your ending mileage, then therefore this is your next beginning mileage. So I just need to fill out the dates for these. And then to be IRS compliant, you have to have the starting mileage at every month. So up here, it takes the first input that you give it, It makes it your starting mileage for the month, and then your ending mileage. It's going to do some math to figure out what your ending mileage will be, and it'll continuously automatically doing that. Anything you see in gray on this spreadsheet, it's happening automatically. So then I come over here. This is kind of like where my favorite part is. Putting your Lyft sources for the month, your Lyft, your Uber, and then from here you scroll down, and then like you put in your daily income sources. So you can see I have Uber, Lyft, and offline time. I'll get to offline time in a second. For Uber, I already proved to you that I made $99.10. I drove an hour and 19 minutes. The per hour, $75. With Lyft, I didn't separate the referral bonus, which was like 9 whatever. Put my hours. I don't think this is accurate. This is not accurate. I think it was, what was it? So we got a mistake. 6 hours and 34 minutes. All right, hold on. Let me fix that. I don't know how I dropped the ball on that. 6 hours and, what was it, 43, I think? Is that right? And then okay, so now it readjusts. It's going to say $181 per hour, but that's just because of the extra $900 that was in there for the referral bonus. And we scroll up, it pulls all your daily income sources and automatically adds them based off of the name type. So if I were to type, I put offline miles at the bottom. So offline miles, whenever I'm driving, I have my stopwatch on my phone, my watch. I'm not online on either Uber or Lyft. In order to keep my accounting accurate, I will track that. In this particular case, I tracked my break time as well. I don't think you should track your break time because, you know, W4 employees don't track their break time into their income. I tracked it just for me. I want to know the truth about how much money I'm making. I'm not trying to just get on here and look good for you guys. Say, oh, I made this amount per hour, even though I drove for 4 hours, but I was out there for 8 hours and I'm only showing you what I made for 4 hours. I don't think that's an accurate way to do it. In order to make the best business decision possible, you just have to use accurate numbers. It's not about showing off, it's about having accurate numbers, which is why I track offline time. For offline time, I just put the income as 0, the time I spent offline, just so that it can give me, when I come up here to my monthly summary, it'll give me an accurate hourly per hour income. This is expenses per hour. That's not how much I made per hour. So we'll look at the monthly summary here. Monthly summary so far is $1,319.50 over the course of 8 hours and 47 minutes. Per hour, that's $150. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract the $900 from that Lyft so that we can talk realistic numbers. I don't feel comfortable talking unrealistic numbers right now. So until 940 minus, I think it was 940 in referral bonuses, 280.40. So that's what that's the number we're going to use. 280.40. 280.40. All right. So $41 an hour, still pretty good. All right. So let's look at so the total is $379.50 over the course of 8 hours, 47 minutes. That works out to a per hour of $43.21. That's pretty good. People are going to be saying that, okay, it was better in the past. Congratulations, I live in the future. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm pretty happy with that. That's more than I would make on a great night on a normal day. I'll probably make between $35 to $40 an hour on a normal day. Probably have to work longer to get to that kind of amount of money. I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it. My mileage, I drove 285 miles. That's including what I did today, without including the numbers I made from today. So this is a little behind the curve. That's fine. I'd rather show you guys an underestimation than an overestimation. So you can see I drove $1.33 per mile, which, you know, drivers say they love to be over $1 per mile, but the average is actually 80 cents per mile lately. It might have been more in the past. Congratulations, I live in the future. If you're doing over 80 cents per mile, that's okay. Some days I do that too. Like on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll do 80 cents per mile. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I might do a little above $1 per mile. Just depends on the day. But miles don't pay your bills. Dollars does. So you can see my expenses. I have to get some air. I have a slow leak in one of my tires. It's my front right tire. It's very slow. I haven't driven in about 2 weeks and it was a couple PSIs down. The weather messes with it as well. I need to get it fixed. I probably won't. I'll probably just get 2 new tires, put the 2 new tires on the front and then keep my old tires on the back since the front one is the one that's messed up. I need to do a better job of rotating my tires this year. I'm bad at it, but it's what it is. You can see my expenses per hour. So for every hour I drove, my expenses are $2.65 and my expenses per mile is 0.08. Now that will go up over the course of the month, right? I paid off my car in December. Pretty excited. I know you saw it on my face. So I'm not going to have that car expense anymore, but I will have insurance expense. And I finally got rideshare insurance. We'll talk more about that a little later. I'm going to have to put my my car wash there. But with this tracker, right? It's not about theory. It's about what actually happened, right? So if I have to buy tires this month, this is where it will go. We're not going to forecast tires. That's not how when you actually run a business, profit and loss statement is about what actually happened, what actually got paid. And that's how this spreadsheet is going to be worked. So, all And then over here, this is a new addition to the spreadsheet, is the tax summary. So I put my estimated tax rate. You have to do some Google and figure out what your estimated tax rate would be. Or when you do your taxes for 2023, you can figure out what percentage of your income were you taxed at holistically. Taxes work in different ways, but you can find, I think it's called your nominal tax rate, which is like your kind of overall tax rate. It's just an estimation. So the first column here where it says mileage write-off, what that does is that it takes my miles and it multiplies it by the tax deduction, the mileage deduction rate of, I think it's 67 cents per mile in 2024. And then from there, what this does is it takes your total income, 379, and then it subtracts the deduction from that 379, and then this is the number you get. This is the number that the government will tax you at, right? And then with the estimated tax rate of 15%, my estimated taxes for the amount of money I made would be $28. So for that $379.50, my estimated taxes on that would be about $28.28. It was really important for me to include that because in my videos, people are always saying, oh, once you deduct expenses and taxes, then you're not making a lot of money. But that's not really the case. And in this tax calculation is also taken into consideration your expenses. At least I believe it should be, right? Expenses is M6, M5, M6, M5. I don't think it is. I got to change that. I got to update that so it takes into consideration your expenses. There's some tricks to it, but you can't claim certain expenses and your mileage. And this doesn't accurately reflect that. So it actually overestimates how much you'll have to pay in taxes instead of underestimating, because you don't want to underestimate your taxes. So this is my true net. This is where it takes my total gross. It takes not my gross. It takes my my net income, right? Takes my net income, and then it subtracts the expenses, and then it subtracts the taxes. So no, it takes my gross income. Sorry, it takes my gross income, subtracts the total expenses, which is over here, 2325, and then it also subtracts the estimated taxes, and then it also takes the hours and shows you how much you truly made after taxes and expenses per hour. So my gross hourly rate was, where is it at? My gross hourly rate was $43.21, but after taxes and expenses, my true hourly was $37.34. So this tracker is very helpful, very useful. There's two ways you can get it. You can become a member on my YouTube channel. There's a couple different tiers that offer you a couple of different, things. That there's a link for that in the description. Or two, you can do it on Patreon. Patreon is cheaper for you because Patreon takes less of a cut, but there's not a lot of additional perks on Patreon. Don't think that you're buying the spreadsheet. Just think of it as a way of supporting me. I have other things that I'm going to give to my supporters, and just being part of that support will give you access to these things.